but I'm already feeling too awkward. It seemed like a better idea at the time, but sorry, I hardly hadn't had a chance to prepare my notes here. This is Christopher Sabat's panel. Christopher Sabat is an American voice actor, ADR director, and sorry, you're real nervous talking into a microphone. At Funimation, and provided Vegeta, Piccolo, Yamcha, Mr. Popo, Kami, and Korin, and others. Brief introduction. Hey, welcome to Phoenix Comic-Con 2014. This is 2014 on here. Okay, it's an old form.
I know what year it is.
Set out your phones and find a seat because, that's what it says. It just says because ... You're supposed to fill in your own, like, why. Because it's really upsetting to people. And it's an invasion of privacy. It's time to welcome the gods of ADR, a man whose voice has made so many characters come alive to the English-speaking world. The man who voices the entire series of Dragon Ball all by himself, voices Vegeta, Christopher Sabat. Thank you. So, I have a couple of questions for me that I'll go ahead and start with. One day, did you say to yourself, quote, I will be instrumental in bringing anime to the West? Or did that just happen? That's a great question. Thank you very much. I don't mind answering that. I didn't really know what impact anime had on the universe at the time that I was hired to work at Funimation. I was just going to school at the University of North Texas. I was studying opera and radio, television, film, and I literally knew nothing about anime at all, because back in those days, you would have to go to the video store to get those things, and they usually would have like 3 anime. Oh, my wife is FaceTiming me. Hold on. I'm joking. Later! I'm just joking. I'm not going to do that to her. Yeah, I didn't really know a whole lot about it, because at the store, the only stuff you could get was Akira and Ghost in the Shell and Fist of the North Star. That was literally the only anime. But I'd seen all 3, so I felt like I was completely capable, because I'd seen all the anime. At the time, there were conventions back then in 1998, 99, but they were a lot smaller than this, and they weren't pop culture conventions. They're mostly just like tiny, kind of small, family-run anime conventions. And most of the questions were like, why did you guys screw up Dragon Ball so much? Why did you guys change the music? And I never had answers for those things because I was too busy bringing anime to the West. At the time, I mean, many of you probably like Dragon Ball Z here, right? I'm assuming that's the case. And I'm not going to pretend to myself for a minute that that entire dub was outstanding. There were some rough moments. Most of the Saiyan Saga, most of the Frieza Saga. Felt like we started getting pretty good at it by the time we got to the Android Saga. Felt like the Majin Buu stuff turned out okay. So, you know, it was a growing thing for all of us, because there was no such thing as like a company that just was really dubbing anime back then. There weren't too many people that were doing it, and there was nobody doing it in Dallas, Texas during that time. And yeah, having to cast that show was really difficult because nobody knew what anime really was. And the minute I would tell agencies like, yeah, you're gonna have to send your actor over here and they're gonna have to scream really hard for a long time, they would go, no thanks. So I ended up having to cast a lot of people on it, like ads I put in the paper and put up flyers at universities in Dallas. Like, see, like, I think Sean Schemmel plays Goku, still has the ad somewhere that I put in the paper. It's like, seeking voice actors for national cartoon. And our goal back then, and it was the kind of the goal of the company back then, was nothing that I necessarily had much to do with, but I followed, was to Dragon Ball Z successful in America by making people think that it was an American show. Like most people when they watched it, you guys are all smart, but I'd say a majority of people when they watched it weren't 100% aware that the show even had a Japanese version of it at any time. Maybe you did, maybe you're all smarter than I assume, but we didn't have really good translations back then either. The translations were kind of awful. That's why over 9,000 happened instead of over 8,000. So yeah, it's been a growing thing. So getting to do Dragon Ball Z Kai, I know some people have their opinions that they don't like Kai because maybe some of the voices are different or something like that. But if you haven't checked out Dragon Ball Z Kai, you really should, because it's a much better translation. The scripts are better. I'm sorry, yeah, plus it's abridged, but not in the way that you guys are familiar with. I love to answer that question, like, have you ever heard of Dragon Ball Z abridged? And I go, yeah, it's called Dragon Ball Z Kai. Like, anyway, so, question number 2B. There is more than just translation going on in the work that you do. How much does the original voice actors for a series influence your work, or do you find yourself basically starting from a blank slate? That is another good question, Chris. Thank you for asking. When we first worked on Dragon Ball Z, we were in this crappy bank building. It was just a piece of garbage building, like a hoarder house worth of a building. And we were on the oldest, junkiest equipment, like stuff that you would find in like Doc Brown's laboratory or something like that. Like, it was just awful. And at the time, we were trying to race to get Dragon Ball Z on television for you guys to watch. And the Japanese were very, very slow at sending the materials because they were thinking like, wow, Dragon Ball Z is so successful here, we don't have to think about anyone else but ourselves. So they're like, the materials are coming. We put them on a boat somewhere and they're heading your way. And in a rush, we needed the materials, so I guess the guys at Funimation ended up getting the original Dragon Ball Z materials from the Mexican dub of Dragon Ball Z. Like, and I'm not joking, so we couldn't really reference the original voices because whenever we did, it was like, it was. I did learn some important things about that, though. I learned that the word chichi is not a very good word to have in the Spanish version. They changed her name to Milk. I didn't believe it or not. Those of you who speak Spanish would understand why. And so, yeah, we weren't really we really didn't get any sort of inspiration from the Japanese voices. We didn't start hearing the voices of our original character, the Japanese voices, until we started working on the video games, and that's where we started listening to the voices over and over again. And in doing so, I did learn a lot about Vegeta and Piccolo and a lot of the characters that I play and how vastly different I sound than those guys. But I really did, over the years, that we've kind of channeled a lot of what we do to listening to the Japanese, and at least getting the spirit of the acting and the delivery from those guys. So in most other anime I work on, the majority of the time we listen to the Japanese first, and then we give it a crack on our own. And sometimes we use the Japanese as a close guide, like Alex Louis Armstrong, for instance. I channeled a lot from the original voice actor for Alex Louis Armstrong. His Japanese version is hysterically funny, so I figured all I had to do was live up to that.
It's been going on in his family for generations.
That is true, for generations. For generations! It was good that I played Alex Louis Armstrong based on the Japanese version of his, the Japanese version of Alex Louis Armstrong happened to be the same guy who was the voice of Garland in Final Fantasy Dissidia, which is why I got cast as Garland in Final Fantasy Dissidia for the English version. Because they called me and they said, my agent said, you have a session for Final Fantasy. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? How? Because I didn't audition for it, and they said they wanted to use the same person who did the voice. And so I've been working on all those Final Fantasy games, and those are awesome. Because they're very slow sessions because the Japanese care a lot. The Final Fantasy sessions are hands down the slowest voiceover sessions I've ever been in because they obsess over every single line. So you'll come in for those recording sessions and you go, I am the beginning and the end. You go, okay, hold on 1 second please. And then they just talk for a long time, back and forth, oh, yes, he is dying in this line, so then you, I am beginning and the end. Okay, hold on 1 second, 15 minutes of I'm not complaining because I'm working on Final Fantasy, so it's like, I'm not even complaining, they just care about that a lot. Let's see, next question. How well do you think anime translates to our culture in the United States? Well, we usually try to erase all culture from anime that we work on so that you don't learn anything. So, yeah, it's just Japanese. They're just stupid people. That's going to end up being on my quote on IMDb. They're just stupid people. Please, I hope someone's recording this so that I can have proof that I did not mean it to sound that way. I was being sarcastic. There are scenes where the characters you voice are conversing, fighting, or something with each other. Does this play out in your mind as a I'm hitting myself type of way? Yes, it does. Thank you for asking. Whenever I'm recording multiple characters at a different scene, first I usually start with Yamcha, because he's the lamest and easiest. So easy to do Yamcha's voice. Half the time he's dead anyway. The rest of the time he's talking to his cat. Yeah. I've been telling people at all these different conventions I go to about my theories about Dragon Ball Z. See, I believe that Yamcha can talk to his cat Puar, and he can hear Puar, but everyone else can't hear Puar. They just hear a cat meowing, so they just think Yamcha talks to his cat and they think it's sweet and they don't want to say anything to him about it. So whenever you're watching Dragon Ball Z again, think about that. But also, I have a theory about Tien Shinhan. I believe that nobody can see Chaozu at all. I just think that Chaozu, like that Tien is just talking to himself, like, I gotta go find Chaozu, like, alright, cool, dude. You do, brother, like, Chaozu's in trouble! Like, better go help him, I guess. The girl who's been playing Chaozu for a long time now, her name's Brina Valencia. She's the voice of Chopper on One Piece. She's awesome. She and I both believe this theory, and so when we were recording Battle of Gods, when it was time for the group scenes where you just have all the characters come in and they talk over like party scenes and stuff, and they can literally be talking about anything. Brina has Chaozu just going like, guys, can anyone see? Okay. It's good to see. Okay, alright, you're walking right past me. So you never get to really hear that unless you're very lucky, but it's buried. I just know that it's buried in all the crowd scenes. So I start with Yamcha because he's the easiest, and then it's a crapshoot as to how I'm feeling. Usually I'll go to Piccolo next because most of the time he's pretty easy unless he's angry. But then it hurts my voice because I have to rattle it like that. And then, surprisingly, I'm gonna blow your minds now. Hey, I'm Vegeta. Hey, sorry. Hey, I'm Yamcha. Hey, I'm Vegeta. Same voice, guys. Same thing. Does it blow your mind? I love to add elements to Dragon Ball Z that also fit my theory of like, why don't they ever talk about how awkward it is that Yamcha's still hanging out with Bulma? In fact, in Super this year, I added a line when Bulma's trying to convince Vegeta to come hang out at the party with him. I have him, instead of going like, I don't want to go to a party, or I don't want to party, or whatever he was supposed to say, I was like, sure, fine, let's go see Yamcha. Because he just hangs out. He's still hanging out there. Like, that'd be really weird. Like, not just for Vegeta or Bulma, but also for Yamcha too. Like, that's really bizarre. Because I don't think they were very clear about when they broke up or how that happened. It might have been when he found out she had a baby with an alien who was really mean. Let's see. There are I already did that one. What is it about the voice of Vegeta that makes the Dragon Ball voice you like doing the most? I don't necessarily like doing Vegeta's voice the most, but I do enjoy playing Vegeta more than any other character because, arguably, he is the best character of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says, if you like Goku, you're stupid. Because he's a terrible character. He's an awful father.
Yeah.
See, Vegeta is a better character because he has a better backstory. He had a terrible childhood. He was raised by a monster. Let's see, he was supposed to be the prince or the king of his world, which is now gone. He finally goes somewhere where he can dominate, and some dude with a head injury manages to be a little bit better than him. It was sucked for him. Like that's terrible. So Vegeta chose to be nice. Goku, head injury. That's it. It's the only reason Goku's nice.
Plus crack.
Sean and I have talked about an idea that I don't know why they've never done, but where Goku gets hit on the head again really hard and becomes purely evil like he was supposed to be, and then Vegeta has to then teach
Ask
him
Team
like,
4
to be
Star
cool.
about that.
I'll ask Team 4 Star about that. Thank you. You guys who created Dragon Ball Z Kai. Let's see. But I do love playing Vegeta. He's the most fun of any character. And the most fun I ever had recording a show was on a show called Penny and Stocking featuring Gardo. Have you guys ever seen Penny and Stocking? That show is horrifying, and don't let your children ever watch it. Not for a long time. It's a terrible show, but it was ridiculously fun to record because I got to say the worst things I've ever said in my life. Another show I really loved a lot was Sergeant Frog. Do you guys remember Sergeant Frog?
Yes.
That show needs to come back in a major way. I think they just released it too soon or something. It's just such a funny show. I love my
Ninja
daughter.
Slayer.
Ninja Slayer. How many of you guys have seen Ninja Slayer besides him? All 4 of you. Congratulations. That is such a ridiculously fun show too. If you guys are the type of people that do fun things and stay up really late at night, highly recommend you find Ninja Slayer and watch it in a handicapped position or something like that. It is a bizarre show. I highly recommend it. And if you're not familiar with it, it's called Ninja Slayer. It's a Japanese show that was apparently created by Americans. It's just the folklore of it. It's not really true. It's definitely 2 Japanese guys. But they pretend to be these 2 American guys who are obsessed with ninjas. And the animation is literally the worst you've ever seen. It's just absolutely terrible.
It is.
The front, it's like the manga was gorgeous and beautiful. And then the anime looks like they just cut out figures and then just had them attack each other. Like when they attack each other, they sort of stand up straight and they kick each other. But then when they die, they explode into real flames. So, Ninja Slayer, check it out.
In Ninja Slayer episode 19, around 11 minutes in,
That's a lot of detail.
when he's asking if his friend Nancy will betray him in your line, which I prefer, you do the Rickroll. There's no way she'd ever let me down, ever hurt me.
Yes, I do Rickroll some on that show. I will never let her down. I will never make her cry or say goodbye or hurt her. Anyway, thank you for your questions. These are great questions. Let's see. There are a few anime series you have not worked on. That is true. Of those 10, I just added that part. Any you would love to a second chance to work on? Let's see. Well, I played, originally I was in this show called Fruits Basket, and I talked to the director. I was like, he asked me to audition. I'm like, okay, cool, you want me to throw down an audition for a character called Hattori? And I thought that'd be a fun character to play. And he goes, no, I've got something else more special for you. And I got to play a character named Ayame. He's the closest that I ever got to playing Zarbon before I played Zarbon. Let's see. Other shows I would like to have been a part of. I wish I had my character is still alive, but I wish I had a slightly better role on Attack on Titan. How many of you guys even know that I have a role on Attack on Titan? Okay, like all 6 of you, again. You all should watch Ninja Slayer. I play a character called Warman, and you'll know him because he's this dude who yells all the time, all of his lines, and he has this beard that literally somehow goes straight down, like it's the most It's like straight lines down for a beard everywhere. Like you'll. What did you say?
Is it a titan or an actual person?
No, he's an actual person, and he's still alive. He's he's a ranking member of the military. He's the one that tells the military to fire on what's his fart. Thank you. I'm sure you called it out. I couldn't even hear you. Okay. Other shows I would love to work on. I'd love to have been on Fooly Cooley. Yeah. I thought that was amazing. I'd love to have been on Your Name, which is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Yes.
Let's see. No, that's about it. No, I've been in all the others. So the only ones I'm not in, you'll know immediately because if you like shows that I'm in, you probably don't like the shows I'm not in. They just involve like teenagers in high school and stuff like that. So, question H is blank. Question I, you just ran out of questions. You couldn't think of any more. Okay. Oh wait, there's one more. Question J. He just skipped 3. What you're currently working on that we can hope to hear you in soon. My favorite show, as I'm working on right now, is called My Hero Academia.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that show! Like, I know this sounds like I'm a man and I'm very strong and I love sports sometimes, but that show kind of makes me cry every now and then, and it makes me mad that it does that to me. So I try not to watch as much of it, but man, even when I'm recording on it, it's the most emotional show. It's so brilliant. Animation is gorgeous. If you're not watching My Hero Academia, you really should be. Let's see. Give 5-minute warning regarding last questions. We have about 5 minutes left for any last questions and/or questions. We have about 35 minutes left. So we're going to have to cut this Q&A session short. Make sure to visit our guest at the booth. It doesn't have my booth number, so I don't know where that is, but it's upstairs on the 3rd floor next to Todd Habercorn. Thank the panelists and the audience. Thank you very much. Thank you guys. Now that I'm done with my stuff, hey, is this for me or is this somebody else's too? Here's the questions for Garrett Wong. Your dedication to cons, to fandom, to Trek is above and beyond so many other actors.
I wish he was reading Sean. That would have been funny.
Let's see.
Habercorn's in there.
Todd Habercorn's in here? Oh, let's see. Todd Habercorn. Why you so nerdy, bro? That's an odd question. Who's more handsome? The Vic Mignogna you know or the Vic Mignogna from your dreams? Star Trek continues. ... But does it really? These are some mean questions. Let's see. Most people think fairy tale sucks. Why is that? These are terrible questions, too. Okay, never mind. I'll be honest, playing Elfman in Fairy Tale is probably while he is a very funny character, it is one of the most difficult characters to play because he doesn't do anything interesting. He goes, I'm a man!
He's Yamcha.
He is Yamcha. Finally, manly Yamcha. The best Yamcha always was dead Yamcha. Which is my favorite action figure that I have.
Yeah, I remember that.
I'm not kidding. You all know that there is a dead Yamcha action figure that you can buy
Yes.
in the world. And if you put him in the middle of like an apple pie or something, he really does look like just like what he looked like in the crater when he died. Seriously, you break him out on Thanksgiving and just like always put Yamcha on the pie. Like that's important. I've run out of questions, so this sucks. I'll leave this up here for you. Let's see. Someone said, I have a question over there and started. Yes.
I'm a Sabat fan, so I wanted to hear like what it felt like playing Kurogane.
What did it feel like playing Kurogane in Tsubasa?
Yes.
It felt good. Next question. No, it was a beautiful show to work on. That was when Colleen was directing it. She's an excellent director, Colleen Beard. I I love that show because I didn't know really what was going to happen to my character. I didn't know what was going to happen to Kroganate. It's just a beautiful ending. The music is beautiful. It was a good time all around.
So did you really don't like Mokina, or you kind of did?
I don't like Mokina at all. Anyone who knows that show would know why I don't like Mokina, because she calls me names. Let's see, you.
Are you returning for Panty and Stocking Season 2?
Am I returning for Panty and Stocking Season 2? If it exists, then yes, I will.
All right.
Are you 100% sure that exists?
I've heard it's happening, but I
Let me
don't.
look that up real quick. Siri, is Panty and Stocking Season 2 coming out?
Here's what I found on the web for his Panty and Stocking Season 2 coming out.
It doesn't have much information on it, so I hope it does, and if it does, if they don't let me play Garden Belt, I will kill someone. So, yes, business casual, Harlequin, go.
For My Hero Academia, you're playing All Might.
Yes.
Is there anyone else you're playing?
In My Hero Academia,
Yeah.
I play All Might and All Might. That's the only two. I play buffed up All Might and No Might. Those are the only two. And they have such a huge actor pool now at Funimation that there's not a need to have to double and triple up as often as we used to have to. Because back on Dragon Ball Z, we had like 15 actors total who could even complete sentences. So whenever there's another deep character, the producers are like, Chris, you got another voice. Because back in those days, I was working as a salaried employee at Funimation, so they were only paying me like $20,000 a year to work on Dragon Ball. I was working like 120 hours a week too, just trying to get on the air, so I didn't make any money working on that show. So anytime there was a new character, they're like, oh, we get those for free, give Chris another character. And I was always the guy that had to cover for actors who would leave for whatever reason. Like, I wasn't the original voice for, what is Chi-Chi's dad's name? Ox King, right? I played him in this, I didn't originally play him, but the guy who played him ended up going on a comedy tour, and I was the only one that could mimic his voice for that, so I ended up doing it for a while, until we recorded Dragon Ball, and then I realized he had a lot of lines, and he had to be really cool, and that's when I gave it to Kyle Aber to finish up, because Kyle does a much better Ox King than I do. You're welcome.
I don't mean to be disrespectful. I know voice acting is your profession.
Yeah.
But once, in your Vegeta voice, could you say Kakarot is a fool?
Dude, that's not disrespecting me to say that. That's disrespecting Kakarot. I love that shit. So, Kakarot is a fool! Hit on the head when he was a child. And that's the only reason he's better than I am. Must have head injury. I imagine Vegeta's at home like tripping himself trying to fall. It could happen to me. All I have to do is have just the right head injury. Anyway. Yes, sorry, I just want to warn you guys there's only 25 minutes left. This panel on YouTube. Fight it out.
What's the scanner say about the power level?
That's a popular phrase, yes. Thank you for reminding me of that. I haven't heard that. The scouter is actually very important in the Dragon Ball Z universe. It's used by some to calculate power levels. It can give them meteorological data. It can. It also has a heads-up display for their GPS when they're traveling.
And blow up their ears.
A variety of different information. As you know, the Saiyans do travel from planet to planet, destroying the colonies. So sometimes they need to know additional information about the people they're fighting, which is
Recent
why they
Dragon
require
Ball
the
Z
scout.
made the
So,
first Google Glass.
it is, as you said, it does say things about their power level, depending on what their power level is. But it really isn't always that. It can tell them other information too. So it's a really good question. Thank you. Person next to you, yes.
What is your personal opinion on DBZ a bridge?
DBZ is a bridge? Oh, I've been to YouTube. It's a badass place. There's so many videos up there. Guys, look it up. DBZ is a average on YouTube. I know what he's talking about. These guys are good at what they do. What I love more than that though is because they're intentionally funny. What I love is finding. Have you guys ever watched the Malaysian dub of Dragon Ball Z? It is so good, guys. It is like literally one of the best things I've ever heard. Because I guess they did an English dub of Dragon Ball Z in Malaysia for English-speaking people in Malaysia by kind of ESL, English second language style actors. And I'm not kidding. I do a pretty good impression of this scene. This is Piccolo talking with Cooler. Cooler starts off, he goes, "Why you come cause all the trouble?" And then Piccolo goes, "You are the one who caused the trouble." God, it's so funny. So good. Please find it. And there's also the big green dub. I highly recommend you check that out too. Yes, Johnny from Karate Kid.
So when you first started on Attack on Titan, how long did you think your character would actually last?
I was hoping that my character wouldn't last on Attack on Titan, he said. I was hoping that my character would last about 5 seconds because then I wouldn't have to scream as hard as I did for the entire episode. It was just constant screaming. And I remember in season 1, I was, I guess, coming down with a flu or something. So for that whole session, I do remember it being the last thing I did before I dropped into a horrible flu for a few days, so I'll never forget. It's kind of like that burger you eat right before you get like food poisoning or something. So that's a character I will never forget. I'm just happy that he's still alive at this point. I don't want to do any more screaming, but I'm going to have to apparently. Apparently that's a thing in that show. But I've been in other shows that involve screaming, so I think I'll be okay. Let me get his question real quick.
Between powered down All Might and powered up All Might, which one do you think you have more fun playing?
I love playing, powered up and powered down All Might. I think that's a good representation of kind of how I like my life to be. I like a variety of things, so I wouldn't prefer it in one state or the other. However, I love playing like full flavor All Might, like full on the buffed up All Might, because he's putting on a voice for that character. That's like his voice that he kind of puts on because that's what he wants people to hear. So it's a really fun character to play because he always says like awesome things. And he says Texas Smash, which is the first big epic attack he does, and I'm from Texas, so I was like, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
You played Vaccine Man on One Punch Man?
Yes.
How did you get that role? Because that was done by Bang Zoom and not Funimation.
Yeah, I got that role because the guy looks like Piccolo, for one. He's like, are you familiar with this? He's the first villain you see in One Punch Man. He's the first villain. His name is Vaccine Man.
Yeah,
He
One
looks
Punch Man,
just
the
like
first
Piccolo
villain.
from Dragon
Vaccine
Ball Z.
Man?
And
He's the
in
purple
Japan,
Piccolo
he's
from the
voiced
first
by the
episode.
same person who voiced Frieza in Dragon Ball Z. So, yes! You're now my new favorite person. So, I don't even know what I was saying before. Yeah, so he looked just like Piccolo. He was voiced by a Japanese voice of Frieza. And the guy who directed it used to be from Funimation. His name was Chris Case, and I don't know if it was his idea or if it was the people from Bang Zoom, but I heard from Bang Zoom and they said, would you like to come do this? And I said, yeah, of course, it's One Punch Man. Of course I'll do this. Like, it's only going to be like a 15-minute session. I go, I'll take what I can get. I'll get punched once in that show. So. And they weren't lying. It was quick. It's like, I'm going to pontificate. Now I'm dead. That's it. Behind you, yes.
What was your least favorite anime that you voiced in?
I mean, it's hard to say because they're all my least favorite. Let's see. Oh man, actually, it was my least favorite anime only in that it was so bizarre that I couldn't help. I actually loved being on it because I kept imagining it as something else. But there was one point in time when I was working on 2 different shows. One was called Dance, I think it was like Dancing Among the Clouds, or
Laughing among the
Laughing Among the Clouds, and one of them was called A Brother's Conflict. One was a military show, or about ninjas or something like that, and one is a show about a girl who loves a bunch of dudes. That was called A Brother's Conflict, believe it or not. It was the girly show, and it was the most bizarre show. Because all these guys kind of like vying for the affection of one girl. It was like a reverse harem show. And I always begged them to give me the episode and then strip out the music so I could put really creepy music underneath it. So if you watch it like that, it would be an amazing show. Because you just wouldn't know whether they're going to kill her or not. Some sort of wicked vampire bund or something like that. Yes, you in the front row. Good to see you again, by the way.
Pleasure. After Kai and so many games with the Kai cast, in more recent outings, why has it reverted to being the Sabat and Friends show?
Why is it reverted to be the Sabat and Friends show? Because they're all my friends.
I mean more than the fact that you play like all of the Game You Force again and some of the others, whereas they had a different cast in Kai. They got
Yes. They actually asked me because when we started using the Kai cast, and the Japanese asked us to go back to the original cast if at all possible. So we did that. We do what we're told. Japanese on my team. It's better than my last quote about the Japanese. So. Yes, sure, dude.
So who do you think would win in a slap fight, Todd Havercore or Vic Mignogna?
Who would win in a slap fight? Both bitches, so... That'd be one hell of a bitch slap fight. Bitches are a female dog, for those of you. These audiences, and they're both female dogs. I would say Todd is faster. Todd's just a little faster. He's a little more nimble on his feet. He's also like kind of Asian, sort of too. So I'm going to say that his skills would prevail over Vic's, but only just marginally, like just barely. Vic would have his giant fan base as his backup. All these rangers that just appear, and they all are missing arms and stuff like that. Yes, and I'll get to you next.
You said you started in North Texas doing opera. Were you doing that for voice? You're training your voice? Or were you...
I was never intending on being a voice actor. I had a scholarship for opera when I was at school, and then I realized very quickly that I did not want to do that for the rest of my life. I still didn't even know that at that time, voice acting was an option. Like I just didn't even, there wasn't really much of an internet back then. It was barely there. And you had to have friends that were somehow in the voice acting business, so it just didn't even dawn on me that that's something I could do. I was working in radio a lot at that time too. So that was kind of where I got a lot of my voiceover, like behind the mic training.
Got an agent then?
I got an agent actually after working on Dragon Ball for a really long time. I couldn't have done anything while I was working on Dragon Ball anyway because I was working non-stop on that show. But once we finished Dragon Ball Z, I was kind of done and I was ready to kind of move on. Once we worked on a video game, I realized that I really loved video games. That's what I grew up on. I didn't have anime growing up. I had video games, a lot of them. And so I opened up a studio where we do mostly video game voiceover, music, sound design. Since then, it's called Okratron 5000. It's in Dallas. We've done all the stuff for Borderlands, Battleborn, Halo Wars, a bunch of junk. God, we worked on so many games. And it was after working on the very first Dragon Ball Z video game that I realized this is what I want to do. I still love anime. We still work on a lot of anime, but video games were kind of what I was raised on. Yes, and I get you. I keep doing that to you.
Maybe one of those brief, like you singing in character type moments.
Okay, it's a me singing character moment?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get him first. Yeah.
It's a song that would be geared toward what Yamcha would be.
Okay.
Okay, so.
Wait.
Oh, what's happening?
I'm going to show you the lyrics.
Find it out.
Oh, wait, what is it?
Okay, so it's from an anime from last year called The Lost Village. It's about a dying hippo, but if you could replace hippo with Yamcha, singing Yamcha's voice about him dying.
Sure, go ahead, give it to me.
You want to hear the whole song or just part of the song?
I'll just do it really
No,
quick.
weekend part on Friday.
Okay.
Replace hip-hop with Yamcha.
Sure. Let's see. On Friday, it becomes quite grave. On Saturday, you're soon dead. On Sunday, you're buried in a grave. Bad luck, Yamcha. Like a truly unlucky Yamcha.
Yeah.
This is the end. This is the end. Hold on. Hold on a second here.
It's on Crunchyroll. It's called The Lost Village.
That's it. Your phone's in power saving mode. Let me turn it off real quick. It's going to be a minute. Wow. You're on 1%. Turning off ultra power saving mode. You like to save an ultra amount of power, don't you?
Yeah, my mom pays the phone bill.
Oh, that's good. Let's see. What should I do here? I can't find your social media.
It's on the Periscope.
Let's see. Allow permissions. Hold on a minute. Allow.
I like going front.
Permissions. So many permissions. Okay. Let's see what is happening. It's. Hold on. I'm just gonna put it. I was trying to initialize the video stream. It's just not going to work for me. I was going to tell all your friends on Facebook that you're really gassy, but I can't.
I like you in Clockwork Queen.
Oh, thank you. That's a good show about clocks. I'll get you next. I'm joking. I'll get you.
Alright, so out of all the video games that's been done, what is your favorite Dragon Ball Z video game of all time?
Dragon Ball Z video game that's hard to say, like Tenkaichi 3 or Budokai 2 are probably my two favorites.
Budokai 3.
I love Budokai 3. That was a great
That's my
game.
favorite.
If you guys are fans of the vintage Dragon Ball Z games, have you ever heard of like the Dragon Ball DBZ League by any chance? It's these dudes online, and it's actually pretty fascinating. They take Budokai 3, with the one that everyone was Tenkaichi 2 that had the most characters, had 1 billion characters, and they basically take the game and they have people that are broken up into teams, and they spec out the characters exactly the way they want. They have access to all of the upgrades and stuff you can do for every character, and there's certain rules that they have to abide by. And then they make a team of like 5 people and give it a name, and another team, they have 5 characters that they've spec'd out too. They send their specs to a moderator, and that guy plays those 2 teams against one another using the computer, and then they have a live commentator to see, and they have this giant long tournament structure to see who's, and it is ridiculously fun to watch, because like, out of nowhere, Chaozu can be just an amazing character. The computer decides that's what it wants to be. Like, and you have to do risky moves. Like you can put Goten and Trunks on your team, and if the computer decides not to merge them into Gotenks, you're screwed. But if he decides to merge them into Gotenks, you're in really good shape. So there's a lot of. It's really fun. Called DBZ League. I checked out. All right. You're the one with the question. Did you just outsource your hand racing? What did you just do?
You gotta get that green.
I understand.
So, I was just curious, your voice, Alex Louise Armstrong.
The Full Metal Alchemist.
The Full Metal. Do you get to see what he does? And if you do, did you flex while voicing him?
I flex so hard. I didn't necessarily make the exact poses, but when your job in anime is to look at a character and try and put words in that character's mouth, I find it very difficult not to sympathetically kind of do what those characters are doing. You have a limited amount of space, so that you can't necessarily go too crazy in there. And plus, I don't have any muscles. I have 0 muscle mass at all, except in this one arm that I have to carry my child in, and that's about it. But yeah, whenever I'm working on a character, when you're studying that character and staring at it and trying to talk at the same time the character is, if your character holds out his arm or does something weird, you typically, like, sympathetically will make those moves, and it's pretty fun.
Can we get a sample of that?
Ha! That's a sample. Oh.
Okay.
Oh. Ha! You're welcome. I am Negan.
I have a question. Did you win any money from the bet you made back in 2010 with Tien Shinhan's voice actor on making fun of how bad Dragon Ball Evolution was?
Oh, that's funny. That is true. I did have I went to go see Dragon Ball Evolution with the guy who plays Tien Shinhan. His name is John Bergmeyer. He was also the voice of Kurama in and we went, because he's also the main writer for Dragon, he's the head writer for Funimation, does a lot of the script adaptations. So we went to go see it, to see if it was going to be awesome, because I thought, with Dragon Ball Evolution, it can only be one of two things. Really good, and then that's great. Or really bad, and I get to make fun of it, which is also great. Unfortunately, kind of was in the last category, and we were betting to see how many people would actually be in the room when the show started, because there were 9 people in the audience when we went to go see it, and 3 of them walked out almost immediately. I thought they were going to see it. But yeah, that's it.
Did you actually win any money, or?
I'm sorry?
Did you actually win any money from the bet?
I didn't win any money on the bet, because we've also had a bet going as to which character is cooler, Yamcha or Tien. And it's been a long battle, but I lost in Resurrection F when Tien shows up and he goes, I left Chatsu and Yamcha back in the place. This might be too intense for them. I knew it was over then. Let's see, hold on one second. We have, let's see, 9 minutes left. How about you? I love your, yes. Oh, hold on, I guess she thought I was saying her too. So let's do it in order, you and then you.
Do you have any funny stories that happen while recording?
Do you have any funny stories that happen while recording? Dragon Ball Z is pretty funny. Let's see. There were a lot of funny stories when we were recording. There was a time where I convinced one actress that the voice, the light in the booth was voice activated when I had just a little remote switch for it. That same actress, this is Carrie Savage, she plays Mogana actually, and she's very, very gullible. There was one time where we put a pitch shifter on her voice, because normally she sounds like she's 2 years old and she's sucked in helium. She has the highest voice you've ever heard. So you put a pitch shifter on her voice when she got into the booth. She's like, wait, there's something weird with my voice going on. So it sounds good to me, Carrie. We need to get started. She's, no, I think there's something my voice sounds. It sounds fine to me. Let's go ahead and get started. No, seriously, there's something wrong. She's the best. Let's get your question.
It's a curious question. Obviously. Disney is one of the biggest animation creators ever. Do they ever outsource from any of their companies like Funimation or the newest one I just heard about, the Opera 500 thing? And if they don't, what are your thoughts on that?
Could you repeat the question?
I guess basically, what are your thoughts on Disney and working with Disney, or Disney outsourcing and using actual voice actors instead of just random people or actors?
Yeah. I've always been happy. I love it when Disney takes chances of using actually people who are trained professional voice actors. But I understand why they use celebrities on it too, because just like you guys, I kind of like being able to recognize the voices of the people that are in it, and you don't often know kind of what voice actor is playing that, but it is kind of fun when you go oh, that's Tom Arnold's voice or whatever. Just pull the first name I could think of. My parents really like Tom Arnold. Don't worry about it. So I want to tell a story. I don't know if you guys heard, but there was a super crazy thing that happened. There was this dude, he was a young kid, and he apparently was playing outdoors or something, and somehow had a bit of an interaction with an Africanized bee nest. Are you familiar with it? Have you guys heard the story?
Yeah.
Hadn't many of you heard this? Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
He found himself in a situation surrounded by hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bees. And I don't think a lot of people would have kind of done as well as he did. And he managed to kind of kick butt because he channeled Vegeta. And he defeated all the bees. All of them. And what's awesome is that he completely survived it. And he's here today, and he's in this audience. Is Andrew here right now? I heard a rumor that he's here. Andrew, come up here, dude. This dude is my hero, and I'm not kidding. Where'd you come in from? Where do you live?
Stafford, Arizona.
How far is that away?
I don't know the miles.
We'll have to look it up on Google Maps or something. Dude, I'm so happy. I begged him to come see me at this con, and he's come to see me at this con.
About 2.5 hours from here, someone said.
2.5 hours? How many episodes of Pokemon did you watch on the way here? You don't watch anything? What did you watch on the way here? Dragon Ball Super. You are seriously one of the bravest human beings I know, because that is a crazy thing to happen to somebody. Give this man an insane round of applause. You're like, I don't want to be on the stage anymore with this weird Who is this old guy I'm talking to? I could be anybody. You know who I am? Okay, good. What's your favorite episode of Dragon Ball Super so far?
If I were to do the Japanese version, where...
No, not the Japanese version. You don't like the Japanese version.
Well, if there was an English version of this episode, it would be to where Vegeta finally is beating on Frieza.
Yes, I agree. It's when Vegeta's finally beating on Frieza. Do you think that Vegeta deserves to beat Frieza ultimately in the end?
Yes.
Do you feel like Vegeta got robbed in the end of that one?
Yeah.
Vegeta needed to do what my thought was, like in the movie, I think, you know how they did the do-over to make, like, turn back time? I think Vegeta should have found out that they did a do-over, and he should have strangled Whis until he did another do-over, so that he could defeat Frieza. Andrew, thank you for coming to see me, and just wait around with my friend Gwen back there, and she's going to bring you down, and we'll hang out a little bit after this. So. Imagine what I would do in a situation like that, because that is it was a life-threatening situation. And, yeah, when I heard that he channeled Vegeta, I was like, I wish Vegeta did awesome things like that for me. Like, sometimes I feel like I can't even survive waking up in the morning. So, if I could only think about what Vegeta would do right now. He doesn't sleep though, so it's not fair. Yes.
I had a question for Andrew. He defeated a swarm of killer bees by channeling Vegeta?
Yes.
Did he, like, punch all the bees out of the
He
air?
punched all the bees. He defeated all the bees. He powered up the flames that came off of his body and incinerated all the bees. I'm just kidding. That was the easy way. He said I could do that, but instead he took each bee and he grabbed each bee by the neck and he punched each bee. I hate you, bee. And then he punched the sons of the bees. Get it? Guys, I think we have about 1 minute left in this panel, and 2 questions, 3. Oh, Andrew has a question. What's your question, Andrew? Would I punch Goku in the face? Of course I would punch Goku in the face. Oh, you missed this earlier, Andrew. I was telling everyone earlier how Goku's the worst character in the show. Okay, no, he's not the worst character in the show. But I was saying that Vegeta is the best character in the show, and Goku is just a dude who fell on his head. So, That's it. Let me ask, since I kind of teased you with the question right there. Yes, this is the last one.
Well, I've been wanting to meet you for probably about 10 years now.
Awesome.
You're actually one of my inspirations.
Sorry I kept avoiding your phone calls. I've been real busy.
I don't blame you at all. For being one of my mentors and one of my heroes personally, I've been wanting to ask this question for you for a long time now, and I know a lot of probably diehard Vegeta fans have been asking the same thing. Out of all the episodes that you have done, what is personally the most stuttering, what is the best episode you have ever done playing as Vegeta? From like beating down Goku, which I personally like, or just like any episode.
I would say there were a variety of episodes that I loved. Before, like if the movies had not come out and Super had not been released, I would have said it was the Majin Vegeta stuff. Anything Majin Vegeta.
Yes.
One thing a Saiyan always keeps, his pride, is one of the best speeches ever. I love when he has to sacrifice himself. Like everything in that area where he sacrificed himself for Boo and all that stuff. That was an amazing section. But probably the most satisfying thing was to finally get to play Vegeta in something new, which was Dragon Ball, Battle of Gods and Resurrection F. When those movies came out, it was the most amazing thing, because we've been doing the same voices on the same episodes over and over and over again. Like we did it the first time, we did it when we remastered them, we did it when we worked on Kai. Every single video game is basically a regurgitation of the same story. So it was so nice to finally get to do something new. And then I find out you have to sing a bingo song or something like that. What is going on here? So, it ended up being like amazing. And my favorite episode in Super so far is an episode where Vegeta is begging Whis to train him and trying to convince him by taking him to all these different places that he's already been. And besides, he's going to make him an omelet on his own. It is by far my favorite episode so far. I like the comical stuff that happens to Vegeta. Guys, have a great one. My panel is over. It says I'm supposed to be really signing at 2, but to make it easy for you guys, and because I'm a glutton for punishment, I'm actually going to go down there now. I'm going to head down there now, so if you guys want to go down to the autograph area, I'll be down there, and you can meet Andrew, too, and ask him about bees. See you all later. Thank you, guys.